Right, so this is how far we've got with our scene. Part 1 covered the colouring of the sky, the moon and the stamping of the images. So now I'm going to do some colouring. So as you can see, parts of the Santa stamp, which is let me see, Christmas night, has just slightly missed. So I'm just going to go with a black Derwent Intense ink black crayon. Patty's got some pencils in. I'm not quite sure which one she's got. I will link in the description either these or an alternative. This is just what I have in my stash. And there was only little bits that hadn't coloured. So as you can see, you wouldn't really know now. So that is what I've done for that. I am going to put probably some snow little bits on after, so it won't really matter anyway. Right, I'm back. I'm afraid my dogs were barking. The postman knocked and they weren't particularly happy about that. So I've just coloured in the black as I described, and I was going to start with the roofs. And I think I'd got to, I'm using this Polychromo, which is by Faber-Castell. Can't quite make out what colour that is, to be honest. It's like a beigey colour, I suppose. And then this Derwent Intense, which is a sea blue. And another Derwent Intense, which is an iris blue. And I'm just going to highlight on this right hand side with the paler colour. Not overly visible, that one, to be honest. And then just let me do a test. Yes. I'm going to go with a slightly pale, middle darker colour, but not right dark. On these next sections. And maybe just slightly going over the first ones that I did. I'm not having this too solid. When I did the when I stamped it onto the background, I quite like the speckle look, to be honest. But I just thought I better just do a little bit of colouring just to give a bit of emphasis for the roof. And now I'm going to go back over with the lighter one. Even over the middle blue. And then that way you just get a bit of shading. Because of course the moon's over here, which would cause light. So the light is going to be on this side and this side. Right, now for the bottom section, the base of the dwellings, I'm just going to go in. Let me have a check what this colour is. Even though this looks like a green, it's actually a brown. So it's Derwent Inktense Mustard, I think it's called, which actually is. I don't know. Let's have a look what it looks like. Right. So I like to do a little bit of shading underneath the roof sections. And come part way down the door. And then taking a lighter shade. Now this one is a Derwent Colour Soft. It says it's lichen green, but again, it didn't exactly look like a green to me. And I'm just blending that, joining where the colour was and blending over it. Like I said before, it's not a colouring video per se, it's just how I decided to finish these dwellings. The actual inside of the house. I'm going to go back with the Derwent Inktense Sea Blue And I've also got a Spectrum Noir, which is colour 118. And I'm going to do the stone effects with these. Again, just because, to keep in with the colour schemes that I'm using. Now this one, the moon again is lighting on this, so we'll keep the darkness at the bottom if we can. Where over here, there would be a bit more in shade. Like I say, it isn't a colouring video. I think I've mentioned to you before, I like to colour with watercolours, and maybe one day I'll do a colouring video for you using those. But for today's purpose, I'm actually using these pencils. So again, just tones in with the colours. And I'm literally just going to do a little bit of the darker using the Spectrum Noir one. Literally just for those steps, because I want this to look like a snowy scene. Fair enough, all my three homes are roughly coloured the same. Now I'm going to try and concentrate on the moon. And for that I'm going to use some PanPastels. So I've got a tool. And I'm going to start with the titanium white. Hoping my camera's not gone fuzzy. And I'm just going to go over the moon. Now if you remember, there was inks under here, as you can still see where it's not been, where I've not put the PanPastel. It is slightly showing through. That I am actually quite pleased with, because it looks like it's got some pattern already. Because as you know, the moon has crevices and craters and isn't just a ball. So next I'm using the neutral grey, and I'm using the same tool and following where the marks are already. If you haven't got any marks on yours, it doesn't matter. I just basically go around with the tool like that. Darken it a little bit if you want. And then just wipe off your tool a little bit. Sometimes it's better to wipe it off on a piece of paper, which that's... I'll bring some in. Just a spare piece of paper. Can be anything, copy paper, anything. Just wipe it off, because you now are then going to go back into the white. And you're going to go around the outsides of this, what you've done. To soften it. And now you're just going to blend it all in. Because what's already on the moon will spread. Give it a slight rub with your fingers if there's any too much over where you've stamped. You can either leave it like that, with the tree looks like it's got a ghosty effect because the moon's shining through it, or you could go over with a black liner pen and emphasise it again. I think I quite like that look actually. Now then, as I said before in the first part, I wanted this to be quite lighter, and I'm going to emphasise this by putting some white PanPastel round here and going round the moon, and then just smirk it in with your fingers. Smudge it in with your fingers. And that gives that a look of the moon not just being a circle in the sky. Now I'll close them up for now. I might be using those again in a minute, but I don't know yet. So, basically done the top half of the colouring. So I shall just find a cloth and just wipe any excess of that off my fingers. And now I'm going to bring in some more PanPastels. At this stage I haven't decided what colours I'm using, so you might just have to bear with me a little bit. Now then, because we've used the browns on the dwellings, I've got this orange shade which I've never used before, so it might be a little bit bright, but I'm not sure. And I'm just going to bring it in on the edge of the dwellings. Dab a little bit off before you. And this is to give a little bit of shade. And gives the houses, the dwellings, some ground. Otherwise they could look like they're just in midair. And I'm just going to lightly take that up under the tree as well. That gives the appearance a little bit of the depth, because that's got shading again from the trees and the houses. Here I'm going to leave a little bit more white, because that's got nothing in to stop it. So that's literally going to have all the white from the moon. Now I'm going back to the grey. And again, I'm just going to get rid of some of the excess off me tool on a spare piece of paper. Doesn't matter if they're all blending together, to be honest. And I'm just going to give Santa some shade. Pardon me. Now then, I want it to appear a bit like a road effect, but so I've now got some Hansa Yellow Extra Dark. So I'm going to bring this in. Again, wipe my tool. You could use, of course, another one of the foam tips. No reason why not. And here I'm just making marks like the traffic, because of course Santa's landed on the road, and I want it to look a little bit like the traffic has previously been. So again, clearing. You don't have to do that all the time, every time. But I just found that I do want a bit of purple. I'm going to try a little bit of purple just to bring in. This is violet shade. I'm going to knock some of that off on me. I'm just going to put this just here and there. And smooth it out with your fingers a bit. Now I'm going to go in with the Hannah Yellow tint. That is quite a strong colour, this purple one, the violet. So there's quite a bit left on my tool. So I'm going quite a bit. Of course your tool eventually the foam does go, but that's probably because I've done it a little bit hard as well. Now you can see with that lemon has gone over the tops. So I'm going to bring in the Derwent Inktense ink black again, and just go over the reindeer. Not too bothered around at the bottom where their feet are, because I want it to look like snow, and I want it to look like they're kicking it up a little bit. So I'll bring that in closer and hopefully you can see what I mean. It's still quite, that's not as predominantly black as what the rest of the body is. So put the lid on there after, and now I'm going to go in with the white, which dabbing off some of the colour from the other. This should hopefully help to blend it all together. If I have to go over with the black on the reindeer again, that's fine. It's easy enough to do, as I've shown you. So, like I say, it's gone over the black of Santa and the reindeer. So we'll just go back over with the black. Yep, the ink black Inktense. You might have decided to do your reindeer and Santa in a different colour. I just quite like the fact that the black made them stick out a little bit. And then just lightly follow the lines on the antlers. Not bothered if it's not too perfect. Like I said, it looks to me then that like the snow's been, because let's face it, Santa flies, doesn't he? He's just landed on the snow to deliver. Now then, I am just going to dab that me tool off again and just get some more white and just bring a little bit more of the white just there. Because I want that illusion to be that the land has carried on And there's no houses, no trees, just to give the illusion of depth, which I'm hoping you can see. Right, so a white gel pen. If you do it with a fairly light hand, you want to get the effects. So now I'm going to just clean my nib on my pen and go around the vines, where the vines are. Bit of snow that stuck to them, and look how much it's brought those roofs out. It's given them a little bit of character, which I like as well. Taking a Spectrum No, which is like a grey colour. Just go down very lightly again. So sometimes I mount my toppers with another piece of cardstock, and that's absolutely fine. But today I thought I'd show you another way of looking like it might have without actually needing you to. So I've got some black soot distress ink, and I'm hopefully especially being as my ink pad's drying out. I must remember to get another one of those. And then I literally have a pre-cut 7x5 piece of card, which I'm going to have opening that way because of course my card topper is going to be placed on like that.